love this. Welcome back to My Living Media Podcast. My name is Paul Gagliardi, president of My Living Media. I'm with Louis Cruz, director of digital marketing. And we'd like to introduce our listeners to the Grammy Award-winning band Steep Canyon Rangers. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being, it's Barrett. It's Barrett. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today, and congratulations on the completion of the new album.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah, but we absolutely, I'm a fan of bluegrass, so I absolutely love the album. I think this one's a little bit different from your other albums.
It is, yeah.
So when you guys were recording this album, what made it come up and what made you want to make it different?
Well, the band's been together for like 20-something years now. So it's gone through a lot of changes over that time. And through a lot of the first years of this band, it was a real by the book, straight up traditional bluegrass band. Like nothing but acoustic instruments. And when you play a show, you put one microphone up and you all crowd around it and do it the way they did it a long time ago.
So cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, that's the birth of the band and the nature of the band, the essence of it. And then it's been 20-something years, a lot of life changes, your tastes change and your inspirations change. And so that started to stretch and fray, being so adamant about doing it by the book, an electric instrument here. Eventually we added drums, which is just typically not a bluegrass thing. And this album, to answer your question, was just the next step in the evolution of the band.
Well, what I love about it, man, is that even though you guys are evolving, you still have that sound. Because I've been listening to you guys for a while. I think you guys came out of Asheville, right?
Yeah. The band really started in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where the university is.
Okay.
That's, but we've always considered ourselves to be more of an Asheville band, and we all live in Western North Carolina, all around Asheville now. So yeah, we're more of an Asheville band.
Okay. Yep. That's what I'm hoping to get up there, man. We just bought some property in Lake Lure. Love it up there.
Yeah. Well, hey, this album was recorded really, really close to where your property is going to be. Really
no
close.
Kidding.
Yeah. There's a community outside of, I guess you could call it a community. There's an area outside of Lake Lure, just before you get to Lake Lure, if you're coming from Asheville, middle of nowhere, called Bat Cave. And Bat Cave is just like an area, and there's a cave that had bats at some point. Hence the name. But when we recorded this particular album, one of the ideas was, hey, let's find a remote location somewhere that's not a recording studio and not a city and really remote. And let's move into this location, build a studio, and live together until we finish the album.
Wow.
Which is what we did. That's what this album is. And it just so happens that, when you mention Lake Lure, I get all excited because this place is like, 10 minutes from Lake Lure, maybe way up a dirt road.
I love it, man.
Interesting mystical lodge that we took over for a week and built a recording studio.
Wow.
And so the album, yeah, it was really interesting. In retrospect, I'm not sure exactly why we did it that way because it's pretty strange. But it seemed like a good idea. And then it was a good idea because we lived it. We ate all our meals together. We lived under the same roof. We woke up and worked and partied and worked and ate and slept and woke up and did it all again.
Everybody came back alive too.
We came back alive. We came back changed. That's for sure, because it was a really intense experience. And we had, since the band's been together for so long, we don't operate in normal ways. In a lot of ways, we we manage ourselves really well and we produce ourselves really well. So the next album that we do, there's a good chance we won't even have a producer, which isn't normal. But we did for this one, and we had this kind of like shamanic producer guy who came in. It was also really, really intense. Daryl Scott. Y'all know this guy, Daryl Scott?
I know Daryl Scott well.
Yeah, so Daryl was the producer on this album. So if you know Daryl, you know he's like, Daryl's special, you know.
Yeah, he's one of a kind, man.
He's one of a kind. He's an incredible person to be around, and we knew him just from around and playing the same festivals and stuff. Very familiar. He's been on stage with us, you know, a few times here and there over the years, and we've just been running in the same circles for years now. But then we like moved in together into the middle of nowhere, in this very strange place, and his buddy engineer Dave Cinco built the studio. So Dave, Daryl, the band, and then the two proprietors of the property, we became like this gang, this cult album pursuing cult. And that's what Morning Shift is. Yeah, that's the whole deal. That's what it is. And the cover of Morning Shift, when it comes up on, if you're pulling it up on Spotify or whatever, if you have the actual hard copy, the cover of it is this lodge where we live.
Okay, is that where you guys were?
That's where we were. Okay. Yeah, the back cave in. Yeah,
that's that where the pool. Man. There wasn't a pool in the backyard, was there?
No pool. No.
We saw that video yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's Aaron, and that's another big hallmark of the album is that Aaron, who sings a lot of the songs and plays guitar, Aaron's brand new in the band, and that's crazy because there's not a whole lot of brand new in the band. I mean, like I said, this band's been together a long, long time, and we lost one of our original members. He didn't die or didn't leave on bad terms or anything. It was just time for him to come off the road. So he basically like retired from it. And he was the guitar player and he sang most of the songs, really. And so he left and then we had to figure out what to do. And Aaron came in. So that's another big thing about the album is having a whole new human in the mix, which is really pretty exciting for the band.
When you guys have been together for so long, I mean, I could see how it could be a little bit difficult, but it seems to have jived because it all works. Like listening to the harmonies on the album and all that, it all works out beautifully.
Oh, good. That's good to hear. It does, on our end, it works out beautifully because, you know, having been together for so long, the band has a real culture and we're all really close. You know, we were young when the band started. And so bringing a new person into the mix is like, it's pretty daunting. You know, it's like, just like somebody marrying into your family and moving into your house.
Wow.
Like, is this person an asshole or are they going to be easy to deal with? And you don't really know until you live with somebody for a while, really what's going to go down.
Yeah.
And it's okay for the first couple weeks, but then, you know, it's like a marriage. You can hide anything for a year. After that, you're pretty much done.
That probably had to be one of the best weeks you guys have spent together, though, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah.
Are there any standout tracks on the album that hold a special place in your heart or tell a particular meaningful story?
Oh, man. The thing about this album is that, I mean, almost every track I could say that about, actually. Because this album, the songs have been kicked around for a long time and they've had, like each song has had like multiple kind of incarnations and lifetimes, different singers, different arrangements. We've lived with these characters of these songs for a long time. So when I just look down the track list, I'm really attached, actually to all of them, really. They're all, there's not one track on the album. I'm not saying that every track is great and everybody's going to love every track necessarily, but that particular question.
Yeah, I put down
it's hard to say.
I had Deep End, Hominy Valley, Above My Burdens, Alabama Calling, and Recommend Me. I love that music. It was awesome.
Yeah. See, when you rattle them off, I'm like, I was starting to think like if I had to answer the question, I would say like I really love Above My Burdens right now.
Yeah,
I
That's a
really
great
love
one.
Harmony Valley. I really love Ghost of Glasgow, and I really love Junior. That's probably my favorite song on the whole album. Every time I hear that,
Junior. We got you. It's Junior.
yeah. Or that it's not called Junior on the album. It's called like a Second in Line, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's awesome,
Yeah.
man. So you guys are going to be coming down to Stuart, Florida, at the Lyric Theater. That's November
Mhm.
3rd. Love to see you guys there.
Man.
So most bands, for us to find music like that, of your caliber, to have the bluegrass, that folky sound, we have to go either down to West Palm Beach or we got to go out to the Panhandle. So I need to know what made you guys come down to Stuart.
Oh man. Well, first of all, are y'all actually close to Stewart
yeah, we're in Stewart.
geographically?
Oh yeah,
You're in Stewart.
Yep,
Yeah.
we're talking
Oh,
from
man.
we have an advertising agency in this building. We're in the bottom floor of it right now doing it.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, why do we come to Stewart? I think the original idea was like going south in general during colder months. We were wanting to just make some inroads into Florida and tried a bunch of different places out. That's just kind of a long process, but Stewart in particular stuck. That the theater, is that the Lyric
The
Theater? Is
Lyric
that what it's
Theater.
called?
Yeah,
Yep,
Yeah,
love that theater.
right. Oh God, we love it. And so Stewart in particular is, like we tour all year long. We go all over the place all year long. It's not like we have a tour that we're starting right now that's going to last some months and then we go home for a while. We'll play tonight and then all weekend, and then we'll go home for a few days, and then we'll go out for 5 days, and then we'll come home for a few days, and then we'll go out. The whole year does that. So it's like a never-ending tour, really. But we also go home a lot. That's how we do it. And going down into Florida, or let's say just going all over the country, we play all kinds of different places, billions of them, it seems like. But some of these places become repeat, like little homes for us. And there are really only a handful of them. Off the top of my head, I'd say there might be 7 or 8 of these places. And it's not that these places are like the best places that we play or the biggest or whatever. Like we'll play at Red Rocks next year, for example.
nice.
And which is awesome. It's like the best place to play in the world as far as I'm concerned. But it's not like the Lyric Theater in that it's not a home for us. It doesn't. We're lucky to get the chance to play there. We're not going to come back to Red Rocks every year. We're not the Grateful Dead or something, or Fish or something. We're not going to do that with Red Rocks. But there are some places around the country that we come back to every year, and the Lyric Theater has become one of those places, to the point where we see people at the Lyric Theater that we now have befriended because of last shows at the Lyric Theater.
Mhm.
It's like we show up at the Lyric Theater and we look at the set list from last year at the Lyric Theater and say, okay, well, we got to change up this, that, make sure we don't play all the same songs, because it's like the audience at the Lyric Theater is important to us. The audience is always important, but there's like a relationship with the Lyric Theater that's a
love that.
longer standing thing. It's really special. It's really cool. And like I say, there aren't that many places that are like that. Again, it's not that it's the biggest, baddest place. It's just the place that we actually have a relationship with, and that means a lot to us. So yeah, Stuart, Florida, of all places, is like a weird little home away from home base for us, which makes the show really special.
Yeah.
It's a
for
great
us.
spot. It's a great place in the world, for sure.
I mean, I'm looking on
Sure
here
is.
right now, and it's either all the tickets are either sold or reserved.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
That's great. Yeah, and so we should consider some of these places like that if it gets to the point where it just starts getting dead sold out, then we'll do 2 shows sometimes.
Okay.
You know, depending if it's on, especially if it's on a Saturday or a Sunday, we'll like do a day show and then an evening show, which I can see us doing that someday with Lyric Theater if they were into it.
Yeah, I think Lewis is offering his assistance if he can get backstage.
Oh yeah, I'll help you out in any way.
Well, y'all got it. Let's just make sure we have each other's numbers. I'll
For sure.
make sure y'all should come, to the show.
We definitely want to be there. My
Yeah,
wife loves you guys, man. I mean, we've listened to you guys for a long time.
Great.
Great. Saw the little clips with Steve Martin in there, but although that was great, I think the band by itself just stands out. It's amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
So you
Appreciate
guys
it.
have all this, you've been together for all these years and a lot of collaboration. So does the songwriting process work within the band? Do you guys all collaborate on all the music that you're writing, or is it one person in particular?
Yeah, it's both. Graham Sharp, who plays the banjo, Graham has like traditionally been the writer for the band.
Okay.
Other people have written songs over the years, but Graham is the primary songwriter, and now Aaron Burdett, who's the new guy who plays guitar and sings, he's a really prolific writer too. So he increasingly, like kind of as he gets his bearings straight in our whole ecosystem, he's writing songs, and he has, even on this first album, he had 2 songs that he wrote. So those 2 are the guys who are writing the songs, but especially with Graham and increasingly with Aaron, like his writing process often is really collaborative with the band. The band is really, it's like, actually I remember being at the Bat Cave Inn, and I remember Daryl at some point while we were like sitting around playing instruments and talking about some song, I remember Daryl looking up and saying, like, I've never seen a band where like every member of the band has so many is so invested in each song and has so much to say about each song. Like, y'all really, I mean, clearly Graham wrote X song, but he brings it to us, and he runs it. We're like a machine, we're like a song processing factory. He brings it, but often he'll run it through us, and it'll go through a lot of changes, and then he'll like kind of dish out co-writing credits sometimes as an indication of like,
The collaboration.
such. Yeah, the collaboration. Not that it needs to. The short answer is that like Graham and Aaron write the songs, and then we collaborate extensively.
You mentioned the Dead earlier. You're not far from where they wrote a lot of their music at Ashbury.
Yeah.
Ashbury there, right?
Yeah, we flew into San Francisco yesterday, and the Grateful Dead there's some bands who are like spirit animal bands, and Grateful Dead is definitely one of them. But probably the main one.
Yeah.
I'd say we think about the Grateful Dead collectively. I'd say probably more than any band.
I used to watch them all the time. I lived in
Great.
California and LA. Yeah, it was great.
All right. Yeah. We're big fans. Some of us, like we're a little young to have spent a lot of time seeing the Grateful Dead, but we did anyway.
Yeah, you only need to see them once.
I know. I only saw the Dead one time. Graham saw the Dead a bunch more, but we were young. I mean, like I was a freshman in college when Jerry Garcia died. Put it that
wow.
way. You know what I mean? So it's like there's many summer tours and winter tours that they weren't available to me because they weren't together at all during that time. But I went as a teenager in high school. I loved the Grateful Dead. I traveled to go see them.
That's awesome. It's always good, you get out, go watch some of your favorite bands. The Dead are amazing. Huge audience for that down here in Florida. I mean, I've been down to Kravitz Center, and just a cover band people show out for. So I mean, the music is great influence. So on this album, what are you guys trying to get across with the album? What do you want your listeners to hear, feel? What are you thinking from that?
I think going into the album, just where our heads were at, we had just had such a major lineup shift. And the guy, Woody, who left, he was just like a hugely instrumental and a huge personality and, you know, a huge part of the band. So going into the album, making it, I think probably our priorities were like, let's reassure everybody that we're doing well and continuing to make really good art and that we're happy with this and that we're going to put on really good shows, which then kind of once we got rolling and by the time we were actually recording, it was like, okay, we're not playing defense here or like trying to assure anybody. Actually, we just want to show everybody how great things are right now, because you know, when you have a lineup shake out like that, even if it's one you don't ask for, like we didn't ask for that, but we somehow landed in a spot that you know, it's almost like we're better than we were before in a way. Everybody changed a little bit and had to deal and kind of grow up or just evolve a little bit. And we took on a whole new person who turned out to be great. And so, you know, I think that was the main communication kind of going into it. But then the experience itself was so magical and weird and mystical. It's like I tell people the day after we all went home, Daryl sent a text around to our little thread that was going, and the text just said, "Was that a dream? Did that just happen?" And we all laughed. Just like, yeah, that's exactly how we feel about it. It was like this, we all went into this weird like fugue state out in the mountains. And then what did we just do? Did we actually just make an album? That was crazy. So then on the back end of it, what we wanted was like, we all said, hey, if we could communicate, like if the way this album feels to listeners is any kind of approximation of what this experience was actually like, the magic of it, then we'll be doing a really great service and sharing that with people, because it was really kind of this life-altering thing, and it was very true to itself. There wasn't very much thought of like, what will people like, or what should we do or shouldn't we do. It was full on like, in the moment, this is the right thing to do because this is what my gut is telling me.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. I mean, there's been so many businesses or bands or whatever that break, one person leaves and it interrupts a lot of everything that goes on with a band or a business, right? It could have been a disaster.
That could have been us. That could have been us. Really, we were sweating it in the early moments of knowing that Woody was leaving. We were all very worried because he's like a brother to us. And again, it's all on good terms and it all makes perfect sense, but it was, it was nervy.
Yeah,
but
I bet.
Now that whatever nerviness, now it's like at this point in the game, I mean, we played a show, we were off last weekend, but the weekend before that, we played a show in Wilmington, North Carolina. And we all came off the stage and said, is that the best show we've ever played? It was like the best. That was one of the best shows this band's ever done. So we're thrilled with how things are right now. And I don't think that we've brought this new band to Stuart, or have we? Anyway, it's maybe Aaron has come to Stuart. Maybe we brought him. It seems like we would have, because we come to Stuart once a year, and he's been in the band over a year now. Either way, the band's really on fire right now, and it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, that whole magical feeling that you guys have, that you were feeling, I think the listeners are going to feel that too. Like you have Old Stone House, that song, the build up from beginning to the end. I mean, that's killer.
Isn't that great? Yeah, we always put that in the show now. We play that. There aren't many songs we play every night because we shake out like the dead. We change our set list. Every show is different for us. Every show. But we put that in every night because we love it and it's hot and fun.
Oh yeah, and it's got such a great build up, man. I mean, it starts in one place, literally 3 different parts of that song. By the end of it, you're going crazy over it. I love it.
Well, live, it's taken on new life live since it just kind of gets worn in on the road. And, yeah, at the Lyric Theater, God, the Lyric Theater is so close. Everything's so close. Everybody's so close together. It feels so intimate that when you do something that's so flashy and heartfelt like that song and so intricate, it feels really good in a small space like that. I mean, not that the Lyric Theater is tiny; it's not tiny, but it feels really intimate.
Yeah, it's a great spot. That whole little downtown area is great.
Love it. Good luck. And now we've been there so many times that the bus will pull into Stuart. I don't know what the tour where we are before that or how it's working, but typically, we'll land in Stuart that morning or midday, and we'll start getting everything set up. But we'll all be like walking around town, and I'll always take a run and go down by the waterfront. And we know Stuart.
Well, hey man, when you guys are down here, you want to grab a cup of coffee? You got my number. Give me a call.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
Perfect, man. Well, My Living Media listeners, we're going to wrap this up with Barrett. Again, come on down to the Lyric November 3rd. Check them out. Amazing band. Barrett, is there anything you'd like to say before we get off here?
Thanks for having me. It's really cool talking with y'all. It's great. Thanks
Thank you,
for being
Barrett.
interested and having me.
We appreciate you,
Yeah,
man.
we
You have a great
appreciate
day.
it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, y'all too.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.